Look, they're fighting in Japan. If
Yeah.
Fulton even wins by points, it's going
Hmm.
to be difficult to get past those judges.
Right.
They,
Right.
they,
Right.
they you got to understand the crowd is going to react to everything the Inoue throws.
Hmm.
It's going to be a tough fight for Fulton. Respect to both boxers,
Right.
but I just don't feel he has the power. I feel that if he leans on the ropes or gets in a in he starts scrapping with Inoue,
Hmm.
Inoue
Hmm.
will take him out with those body shots with the left hand.
I am the greatest. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass. You won't do shit. Just stick and move. And waking you up and saying, now stick and move. Keep your hands
All right, welcome to a new episode of the Stick and Move podcast. I'm your host, Trey, with my co-host over here, Sam. This week, we are discussing the two mega bouts between Inoue versus Fulton, and then we're going to go ahead and give our thoughts and predictions on Crawford versus Spence. So, my man, Sam, this week is a big, heavy week for boxing fans like you and I. What is your original thoughts of the Inoue Fulton? Now, predictions, just what's your reaction on it?
My reaction is when I heard about this a few weeks ago or a month ago, I think it was, that
Yeah.
Inoue was going up in weight and fighting
Mm-hmm.
Fulton. I just thought that it's he's trying to get he's starting his legacy.
Right.
He's
Right.
starting his legacy, and I thought it was brave of him to do that because
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Fulton has cemented himself, and but I've been doing my research on it, and it's going to be a tough fight. It is.
Really?
It's going to be a tough
Okay.
fight, but that's good. That's what we need in boxing. Undefeated versus undefeated.
Right.
And they're going to fight in Japan, July 25th.
That's actually what I want to talk about. I kind of feel like this Stephen Fulton versus Inoue. When I first heard about this, I got excited. I'm a big lightweight, bantamweight kind of guy. I love that division with Santa Cruz and everybody. And when I knew that Inoue was finally moving up, I thought the same thing you did. I was like, okay, he wants to cross over to the American side. You talk to a lot of Americans, 9 out of 10 of them will probably even know what the hell Inoue is or where he's
Hmm.
from or anything like that.
Exactly.
This is his good opportunity. And the fact that, he goes to fight Paul Butler, gets his belts, and then comes right back up and bands his belts to move up to fight Fulton, it's a huge risk. And I respect that. And I'm expecting fireworks from the fight from the beginning to the end. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Do you have any predictions on the fight? What do you
Well,
think?
yeah, one of my major predictions. Look, I didn't like Fulton's fight against Figueroa.
No.
Figueroa is he fights in a phone booth. If you're gonna fight with that guy, he's gonna come at you and he's just gonna lower his head down and he's just gonna throw combos to the body and to the head 24/7. It's gonna be the most miserable fight of your life. And I don't think Fulton reacted well to that style. So when
Hmm.
I see Inoue style, who's kind of reminds me of a quicker, more flinchy uh, Lomachenko, I feel like Fulton has never fought a fighter like that before. And I kind of think there's going to be a clash between styles. I want to save my prediction for the later part of our episode, but I still want to say that with this Inoue fight versus Fulton, I think it's going to be tricky for Inoue because he is jumping up pretty aggressively. And the weight and the power, even though Fulton's not really known for power, uh, I think the weight could be a little too much for Inoue, kind of like when Canelo jumped up to 175 to fight Bivol, that it can be a conflict for him. Now, if for Fulton, I think he might not be ready for that kind of speed, and it might look like, in my opinion, it could look like when Manny fought De La Hoya, where it was just a different level of speed and quickness and defense and footwork. I'm not saying that Inoue is going to retire Fulton, but I think that that's the two kind of distinct fight levels we're going to get. So that's my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts about early predictions?
Look, Fulton, he's a skillful fighter. He's slick. He can move around. He's quick
Right.
with the jab. You know, going back to the Figueroa fight with Fulton, I felt, at least in my opinion, that Figueroa won that fight.
Right.
One bad thing about Fulton, or
Yeah.
maybe a few, but Fulton ain't got the power.
No.
He ain't got
No.
the power to keep Inoue off of him.
Right.
And one other thing that he lacks is he leans on the ropes. He cannot do that against Inoue, because
No.
Inoue is gonna that's what he wants. He wants somebody to stand still. Of course, every fighter, I guess every boxer wants that. But Fulton has that problem. And in Japan, we're gonna get the best out of Inoue.
Right.
I mean, I think Inoue's going to carry his power to the weight, and I think he's gonna, it's going to be a clash. It's going to be a clash.
Wow. So, okay, so then let's go ahead and get right to it, and let's talk about why. So, in this fight, Inoue versus Fulton, okay, what do you see? Like, what kind of bout is it going to be? Is it going to be in a phone booth? Is it going to be a boxing lesson where Inoue or Fulton, show their size, or Inoue shows his speed and just completely schools Fulton? Or is it going to be a fight where Fulton just uses his complete, maybe a suave kind of footwork to keep Inoue at bay? What kind of fight are we going to see here? Or is it going to be a brawl?
We're gonna we're gonna see what we're gonna see is Fulton uses footwork. Okay. Fulton is not gonna stand in front of Inoue.
Right.
Inoue comes in. His top thing is his power punches. Inoue has some real heavy left hooks.
Right.
And
definitely.
He's quick, and he has stamina. Fulton is not gonna. He's not gonna trade with him. Fulton is gonna use his skills and his footwork. And I think it's going to go out 12 rounds.
Last week we talked about Canelo, and we also talked about Mayweather versus Castillo, and that's the only way I think Fulton survives this is to pretty much use that footwork, stick, run around, stick, and run around. Because if he gets in a phone booth with Inoue, those liver shots that Inoue is
the body
a master at. The body shots is a master. I don't even think Fulton has ever been hit that hard before. And if he gets a shot of that Inoue, I could see him going down. I don't know. Last week he brought up Ricardo Mayorga, how he was overrated. And I'm not comparing him to Inoue. No way. Believe me, there's no contest, right? But I kind of see where it's going to be how Mayorga surprised Vernon with the wild overrights and overlefts, that I can see where Fulton's going to be like, okay, this is a different level of speed. Not only that, but the continuance of power that Inoue has. I don't know. I kind of see a fight that's either going to end within 6 or be an even earlier knockout.
Wow.
The only way Fulton wins is to outpoint him. Okay?
That's the only way.
He's not gonna knock him out. He's gonna have to stick and make Inoue move. Now we're gonna see here, is Inoue, does he have a strong chin? Can he take a punch from a heavier fighter? Like you said, like you and I mentioned, Fulton, he's not really known for power. I think he only has 7 or 8 knockouts, if I'm not mistaken.
He has 8. He's 21 and 8.
21 and 8. Okay. So he's not going to, unless that weight level really is really too much for Inoue. I kind of doubt it though. But if anything, he's just going to outpoint him, make Inoue miss. But I don't see how Inoue doesn't absorb his punches and just goes right through it. We'll see. Or Inoue knocks him out within 3 to 4 rounds. That's just
Yeah.
my prediction.
I think it's going to be like Bradley and Pacquiao type of fight. Don't be surprised if we see a draw. Don't be surprised.
Ooh, wow.
Don't be surprised we see a draw, and it's going to be, Manny Pacquiao, Bradley.
How would it end in a draw?
I think that Fulton's going to run, man. I think Fulton is not going to make the same mistake he did with Figueroa. He's not going to stand in there and try to trade. I think Fulton is going to run. I just saw a couple of his fights, and he holds a lot. And he'll grab a hold of your arm and do whatever he can to survive. And if he gets caught up in the fight like he did with Figueroa, where Figueroa was landing a lot of shots to the body, and then it's going to be Inoue. Then I agree with you. Inoue will stop him, but I just feel that he won't this time. He's going to run.
His Fulton's trainer Raheem. What advice do you think he's telling Fulton for this fight?
Don't lean on the ropes. I think he's telling them to not lean on the ropes and don't get caught in the corners and don't get off your game plan. He's going to stick, and he's just in our podcast. He's going to have to stick and move. Right. At least they're going 12 rounds. If he decides to trade with Inoue, it's going to be. I would say it's going to be like a 10th round knockout.
Wow.
There's just no way Fulton does not have the power to keep Inoue off of him.
I agree. If he wants to get into a brawl, see, that's the problem. I don't think he has that patience and I don't think he has that patience yet to really commit full 12 rounds to the Philly shell, or to stick and move, or to just pepper and dance. I don't think he has that discipline. He might do that in the beginning, but I think he will feel the pressure, probably losing a couple of rounds, where he's going to have to get into a phone booth with Inoue. And I kind of think that's where Inoue will take it away if it goes further than what I think it is. So, and the only reason why I say that is I go back to that Figueroa fight. Figueroa put the fight to him. And if you watch that fight, Fulton was trying to keep the space, but Figueroa is one of those stubborn fighters that he just leans on you. And he just, exactly. He leans on you, and he has such a great job of sneaking in punches and in bunches and uppercuts and hooks that you're like, how does Figueroa connect so well in such a phone booth? And if Fulton falls into that trap, this will be an early fight. That's what I think. But I do like your draw. I mean, I didn't even consider that in this kind of fight.
Look, they're fighting in Japan. If Fulton even wins by points, it's going to be difficult to get past those judges.
Right.
You got to understand the crowd is going to react to everything the Inoue throws. It's going to be a tough fight for Fulton. Respect to both boxers, but I just don't feel he has the power. I feel that if he leans on the ropes or gets he starts scrapping with Inoue, Inoue will take him out with those body shots with the left hand. Wow. That's just my opinion. He's going to have to stick and move, and he's going to have to use the ring, and just get away from everything. That's the only way. It's going to, for me, in my opinion, it's going to go 12 rounds Inoue.
12 rounds Inoue. Wow. Okay. So let's get to it. Let's get to the prediction. So that is your round, 12 rounds. What kind of fight do you see? A complete like 10-2 or 11-1, or is it going to be a little bit more closer?
7-5 Inoue fight.
Oh, so it could go any way, this fight.
Yeah, it's going to be entertaining.
Wow. Okay.
You're gonna see the hands in the back, Roy Jones, that Inoue likes to do. Showboating. If especially if Fulton doesn't want to fight, because there's been instances where I've seen where Inoue they don't want to fight with him, and he's telling the guys, "Come on, let's go in the center of the ring," and they just don't, because he is quick and he has power.
Yeah. I mean, he does have a way of making boxers quit. Like once they get that body shot, it's like when, Canelo, when you get hit in the body, It's just a different level. And I see him when he's fighting these bantamweights, and that shot he's able to give in the liver and the body, the boxers just don't want to come up anymore. That
They
he's fought
don't want it.
before. Yeah, they
Exactly.
don't want any of that kind of heat. So, do you see any knockdowns in this fight, or is it just going to go the distance?
Look, I was thinking about it. And I do see a knockdown from both guys. I think
Really?
Inoue,
Wow.
yes.
Wow.
I do feel Inoue will get knocked down because it's going to be his first taste of that weight power, and he's going to retaliate from that. And I
Wow.
think he will knock down Fulton. You know, and then once Fulton gets back up, he knows he cannot go toe to toe with them. He's gonna have to stick and move.
Wow. Well, I kind of have the opposite effect. I honestly think see, Fulton has made it clear he's never left America, so he's very homebound. I think I think he's going to start going to the week before to Japan to get acclimated, and I think he's going to be shocked by the culture. I think he's going to be shocked by the abundance of Japan. I've been to Japan, and it's a lot. It's a lot of stimulant on the eye, and I think he's going to feel like a fish out of water. He's going to have his crew and his people there, his trainers there with them to keep that home base down. But I kind of feel like the atmosphere, I mean, we've seen it before when Americans go to Japan to fight. For some reason, there's not a lot of success, with Tyson and Buster Douglas and such. So I'm not saying it's going to be like that or that kind of an upset, of course, but I kind of feel that two things are going to humble Fulton. Him being away, one, and two, I don't think he's seen speed and power. And most importantly, something that you and I haven't really talked about, agility. And Inoue can throw punches in bunches for 25 rounds if he wants to go 25 rounds. He has that endurance.
Yes.
And I think that's going to catch Fulton by surprise. And don't be surprised if it goes. I can see Inoue winning in the 6th round. And I wouldn't be surprised if Fulton goes down in the 2nd or 3rd round or 4th round before the finish. I think the ref's going to call it, and I think we have a new face. I think Inoue, he's always been there in the pound for pound rankings, top 5.
Yes,
since pre-pandemic, and a lot of American fighters are like, well, we just don't watch this guy. We don't really know. I think this will be the introduction, and you're going to see Inoue take that leap to being pound for pound or that number 2, number 3 spot permanently until his next fight.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
So you got any finishing last thoughts on the Inoue Fulton before we transition to our Spence versus Crawford?
It's just, I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm just letting everybody know that don't be surprised if it becomes like a trilogy type of fight.
Ooh.
That would not surprise me. That would not surprise me. Yeah, and it won't surprise me either if Fulton pulls it off. It doesn't surprise me. It just because Inoue's going up in weight, but but the cards are stacked against him in Japan, and it's in the morning. It's going to be tough, but I got Inoue 12-round decision.
It's going to be different. I think the atmosphere is going to be a tremendous effect on Fulton. I don't know if he's going to be ready for that kind of thing. He might be a deer in a headlight situation. I think it's going to be entertaining. I think the winner is going to get a huge boost in American or more respect in their division in pound for pound listing. So we'll see. You know what I kind of want to see, though? I kind of want to see Inoue and Figueroa, which I think can happen also because Figueroa has a phenomenal chin and he doesn't mind getting into the trenches. That's what he wants to do.
Oh, man, that would be.
I think Inoue Figueroa would be a fun fight. Probably will end within 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah.
But that would be one of those classic Hagler versus Hearns, just haymakers and bombs for 3
Yeah,
or 4
that's a
rounds.
knockout.
Let's call
That's
it.
a knockout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. All right, so let's go ahead and transition to our second half of the show. Normally, we do a top 3 or something more related, more based on like fun topics. But we're gonna go ahead and transition to the other mega fight of the same week. You know, very rare we get 2 fights, especially 2 mega fights in 1 week. It'll happen with UFC and boxing; they clashed often. But for boxing and boxing, this is gonna. I can't wait for our reaction episode, which will be our following episode of the fight, and we'll see how our predictions go. But let's go ahead and move to the Spence versus Crawford. You know, this is a big matchup.
Wow.
So let me ask you before we get into predictions and reactions. How long have you been waiting for this Spence Crawford fight?
It's been at least 3 years, I think. It's been
Yeah.
3 years. I thought that I knew it was gonna happen one day. I just didn't
Mhm.
want it to get out of hand and become like 7 years or something like that. I think it's perfect right now. They both want it, and they both agreed, and we got it coming up.
You know, I remember when I sent you the message a couple of months ago. Hey, Spence and Crawford, they
Yeah,
finally agreed to the fight, and I remember your reaction was exactly what it was. I'll wait till they get into the ring.
yeah.
Why did you send me that?
Because that's the way boxing's been lately.
Yeah.
They throw they feed people, stuff, and everybody runs on it, and it turns
Mhm.
out things don't happen. I mean, people have been talking about Spence and Crawford for a long time,
Right.
and there's negotiations, and we got to see contracts signed. Look at the whole
Right.
Charlo and Canelo thing. When was
Right.
remember the offer? That was a long time ago. That's when Canelo was with Golden Boy.
Right.
So anyway, and my reaction was I won't see it until I see both of them in the ring. And now it's official, July 29th. It's gonna be awesome, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to compare this fight to in terms of before they even get into the ring? All this hysteria. What do you think it compares to this mega fight? Do you consider it a mega fight, or do you consider it like maybe not S tier mega fight, but maybe that lower tier? What do you consider this fight? Is this as big as it gets for boxing?
This is just my opinion. This is my opinion. I think it's a long awaited fight, just the way everybody waited for the Ray Leonard and Hagler fight.
Ooh, okay.
These are two undefeated fighters. They're both, the best, fighters, in the last decade. And I compare it to the Hagler and Ray Leonard. When I'm gonna fight you, I'm not. I'm retired. Comes back and they fight. That's
Right.
the way. It's a mega fight, man.
Which, by the way, we will do a review of the Hagler Hearns. We're going to go start doing more classic fights. We'll start reviewing those fights and give our opinions, and so let's get into it. What kind of fight do you see from Spence? What is Spence going to give to Crawford?
I think Spence is going to do what he always does, and he never changes. It's just come forward. He comes forward and he drops bombs. He's coming to attack, and he's going to be landing those body shots. And
let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Not to cut you off. I apologize. They both fight southpaw, but Spence he's also comfortable fighting right-handed. I think he's naturally right-handed, but he fights left-handed. Do you think he's going to stick to one style, orthodox or southpaw, or is he going to go? I'm sorry, orthodox, or is he going to go southpaw, or is he going to be switching throughout the fight?
He's going to be switching through. He's going to be switching throughout the fight. He's gonna find what works, and he's going to go for it. And have I seen Spence get hurt? Yes, maybe twice. One with Ugas and one with I forgot the guy's name. I think his last name was Bundu. But other than that, I mean, the guy's unstoppable. He's the Terminator, bro.
Well, look, you and I've talked about this before, for years already. And when he had that accident, I remember telling you specifically after seeing him fight with Ugas, I don't think I think he has an injury he hasn't disclosed to anybody yet. I know he's telling everybody he's 100%,
Yeah.
but I've seen him be vulnerable to that overright. I don't think he could see at a certain level. I don't think he's telling anybody about that. I've seen him get caught too many times, and I feel that Terrence Crawford knows that. So I honestly think that Terrence Crawford is going to be exposing that side, just punching the right side of Errol Spence. But here's the difference, though. Errol Spence's jab is so stiff
Mm.
and so long. And in a weird way, he does have a lot of power. I mean, he doesn't really have knockout power, but there's something about that jab. It kind of reminds me of Mayweather a little bit, where I would see a lot of boxers would say who fight him, who would fight Mayweather, say he doesn't have no power. But yet they couldn't get in, not because Mayweather was a defensive whiz, but to me, it was just like, man, there's something about Mayweather's jab that is just too much, that keeps boxers at bay.
It's a speed, I
And
think.
yeah, and I think Errol Spence has that, but a little bit stiffer. So I don't know if Terrence Crawford is going to be able to get off that right hand and expose what I think may be a blind spot for Errol Spence. That's just what I
Okay.
think, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think Errol Spence has the power to maybe not knock out Terrence Crawford, but I think he's going to knock down Terrence Crawford. I think he will. Yeah.
Wow.
I think that Errol Spence is the toughest, the hardest hitting boxer that Terrence Crawford's ever going to fight, and Bud Crawford has been down. He has.
Yeah, he has been down. He has been down.
He has
Yeah,
been down, and
definitely.
I think that Errol Spence has the power, and giving credit to Bud Crawford also is that I think Crawford is a skillful boxer. Put up with that pressure that Spence is going to give him. I think Spence is just going to be too much, in my opinion.
So, I've made it very clear that the American boxer has really evolved to a more defensive fighting style.
Mm-hmm.
What is different about Spence's fighting style that takes that defense, because he does have good defense except for that blind spot, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
But what is it that makes him want to be more aggressive? Because I see a lot of boxers when they fight somebody that is more dangerous, that has a potential that brawling, they tend to become more of a defensive Philly shell style.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that Spence, at least for me, I want to ask you, is able to bring in that offense and be so effective at it while be defensive as well?
I think it's the training he's had. I mean, look what he's done to kill Brooke. Look what he did to
Yeah.
Ocampo. Look at the war he had. Look what he did to Danny Garcia. Look at the war. Look what he did to Ugas. I mean, look at the beautiful war he had with Sean Porter. I mean, his defense is his offense. Okay, when he comes in, I mean, you're thinking about punching. This is just my opinion. His offense becomes his defense. He comes at you, and if you want to throw a shot, he's going to come and throw you a shot too. So it's give one, take one, and a lot of people just shy from it. I mean, he's a good boxer, man. Spence has good power. He's in the box. He can box you, and I mean, he'll do whatever. He adapts to any style.
Right. And that's what I saw. I remember when he fought Mikey Garcia.
Oh yeah.
Granted, Mikey went up 2 classes. I mean, and Mikey's known for more his cerebral style than brawling, of course. I just remember seeing that was one of those 11-1, 12-0 fights where you just saw the boxing lesson that Errol Spence can give. And granted, that was pre the accident, right? But that's kind of what I fear in this boxing. I think most people are expecting fireworks, but if Errol
Mm-hmm.
Spence wins, in my opinion, before we give our predictions, if Errol Spence wins this fight, I think it's going to be a boring fight. And I think it's going to be one of those 10-2, 9-3 kind of fights where it's
Wow.
just it's just Spence giving a lesson to Crawford. And that's going to put Errol Spence probably for everybody, for most boxing writers, probably put him on the number one pound for pound list with whoever wins between
Wow.
Fulton and
Wow.
Inoue. What do you
Wow.
think? What do you think? What are you, without giving me who you think's going to win or lose? How is it going to look if Spence does pull this off?
If in my opinion, if
Mm-hmm.
how's it gonna look if Spence pulls this off? It's gonna be a TKO. It's gonna be a stoppage.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
it's gonna be a
Wow.
stoppage. I think it could go either way, but I got my
Mm-hmm.
pick, of course, because of resilience that Spence has and just coming forward. But it's gonna be a knockout in my opinion.
Wow. Okay, so before we give our who we're gonna say win or lose, let's go to the Crawford side. How does Crawford pull this fight off then?
Boxing, it's sticking and
Okay.
moving. Boxing,
Really?
sticking and moving. Yeah, but Crawford ain't afraid to get into a war either. But I think that once he feels
Right.
the power that Spence has, he's gonna have to rely on his feet. He's gonna have to,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and I don't think Crawford wants to get knocked out.
I love that take. I kind of feel that Crawford is gonna feel that pressure. And like I said, unless Crawford exposes that blind side, I mean, I could be wrong about the blind side. Maybe he doesn't have a blind side, but
Mm-hmm.
as of late, even with Ugas, he gets caught on that right side. I saw it even with Danny Garcia, he gets caught. And if Crawford doesn't get to that, or maybe Spence has outgrown that ever since his accident, maybe he's gotten a little bit better on that blind spot, or maybe he doesn't even have it. Who knows? I honestly think Crawford is going to feel that pressure. And the only way I think he's going to break through and win this fight is that he has to go into the trenches, like you like to say, and
Mm-hmm.
make Errol Spence break out of that discipline that he has and go toe to toe. Not so much where he's sticking and jabbing. That goes more into the hands of Crawford. So
Mm-hmm.
if Crawford can make Spence brawl, then I think Crawford has a great chance, and he might catch Spence. Except this time, unlike Ugas, who let Spence off the hook when he knocked out his mouthpiece.
You took it right from me, man.
Yeah. I
You better not
think,
drop the mouthpiece.
yeah, he better not. Yeah, he better not drop the mouthpiece against Crawford, because Crawford will pounce on him. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
way I see Crawford winning this matchup right here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go into it. Who's gonna win? Is it gonna go to distance, knockout? Who's winning this fight?
I think it's gonna be Errol Spence. It's gonna be a TKO in the 10th round. I think that the
Wow.
referee's gonna stop it. I think that Bud Crawford's gonna is gonna be damaged too much. And Errol Spence is gonna reign, and he's gonna get, he's number one pound for pound. Number one, without
Wow.
a doubt, with this victory. And I think it's gonna be a knockout.
Do you think it's gonna be like pretty much a boring fight leading into that 10th round?
No.
Or is it gonna be just fireworks? What do you think?
I think it's going to be a chess game in the first 5 or 6 rounds, and then it's going to get out of control right after that. I think that Errol Spence is going to find a weakness. He's going to see Bud Crawford hurt, and he's going to go for the kill. I think that the referee's going to stop it. Technical knockout.
Now, I normally want to save this question for the reaction to the fight next week, to who actually won and lost. But if he does go down by knockout, because I don't have a knockout, I'll tell you my prediction in a minute. If Crawford does go down by knockout, what is next for Crawford? TKO.
Yeah, if he loses, if Crawford loses, right? If
But
Crawford
I
lose,
want to go by your knockout, by what you're saying, a 10th round
yeah,
stoppage.
stoppage.
What happens to Crawford on a 10th round stoppage? Yeah.
Go for the Charlo. Go for the Charlo. Go for I mean, he was gonna. There was beef between him and Jermell.
Oh wow.
There was beef between him and Jermell.
Right.
I've heard even Tank calling out, Crawford. You know what I'm saying? They had some beef going on.
Wow.
So I mean,
Right.
that's what I see. That's what I see
Mhm.
because we'll talk, about the Jermell and Canelo thing, but I see maybe a Jermell Charlo versus Bud Crawford if that were to happen.
Wow. 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 Well, that would be a good redeeming fight for him. This is what I see in this fight. I think it's going to be exactly what you said. I think it's going to be more of a chess fight, and I think it's going to be too much for Crawford. You know, I don't want to sound like a homer, but I lived in South Oak Cliff for 5 years. I used to be a teacher there, and Errol Spence, huge megastar in that area, and I don't want to say because I lived in his hometown for a while, but I think Spence is going to make this fight boring. I think it's going to be a boxing lesson. And I think it's going to be one of those 10-2, 9-3 bouts where
Wow.
Spence just shows total, complete dominance. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be one of those, like, it's a different level. It's going to be a different level of fight. Kind of like, and this hurts me to say it, when Canelo fought Bivol. I think the weight jump was just too much for Canelo. I'm not saying that's for Crawford because they're still the same weight, but I think it's just a different level and skill, and I
Yes.
think that's going to overwhelm Crawford. And I give the Spence fight one of those 10-2 boring jab to death. He's going to jab Crawford to death, and I think at the end of this fight, Crawford's going to look like Martin Lawrence in that one episode of Martin. So
Oh
where he
yeah,
comes
yeah,
after fighting
yeah,
Hitman Hearns. So
yeah.
that is my prediction of the fight. You got any reaction to that?
No, I agree. I agree 100%. I think Spence is just too much, man. I think his trenches
Yeah.
has more. Spence is more of a dog, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
That's my opinion. It's just he's more of a
Mhm.
dog, and I think that Bud Crawford, hasn't fought anybody like Spence, who's stays hungry, and it's gonna be Spence.
There is something to say how you always say that Crawford fought Spence's leftovers. I agree
Yeah.
with you on that. And there is something to Crawford fighting these leftovers that are already broken down, you know? And I think you're right. I think Crawford has never fought a guy like this guy. Obviously, I don't think Spence has ever fought a guy like Crawford before. So, but I think I don't think Crawford has been tested as much
Yeah.
versus Spence, who actually has, you know, taken all challengers in that division. So I could see where you're coming from on that. Do you have any final words for our podcast?
Final words is we got two mega fights coming up, July 25th, July 29th, and we're gonna have our, pretty much the morning after, thoughts on the fights. And I would like for everybody to subscribe and like the video.
Right. Exactly. So we are on our TikTok, we are on our Instagram, all under the Stick and Move podcast. Go there, leave us some comments, leave us some comments on YouTube. We'll react to you. We will respond to your comments as much as possible. Give us some ideas on episodes you want us to talk about. We're all there for it. I don't know, man. I'm excited for this week. I think it's going to be fun, and I don't know. I can't wait for the following episode, the reaction episode.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
all right. So we're gonna leave it there, guys. And thank you guys for following. And don't forget to stick and move, baby.